Hello, I'm Liz Jennings. This is Explore Careers, Water Utilities. Today is December 5th, 2022. So glad to have all of you here. Sometimes people don't really think about where our water comes from in the Twin Cities, across the state of Minnesota, struck across the country. And we we have to realize that there is an entire team of people who work in every single city, municipality across our state who are ensuring that we have water and water treatment plants and water sewage systems. If you want to learn more about these careers beyond this presentation today, on careerforcemn.com, we have, if you scroll down kind of to the middle, it says Explore Careers. You can type in water, water treatment, water utilities, or honestly, any other job title that you want to learn more about. And you will find some facts. You will find most often a video that is produced by Career One Stop, a federal resource, and you will find updated labor market information for the demand of these industries. So I did a quick search under water and water waste treatment plants and water resource specialists, and finding out that really it's a field that's always going to be hiring in the next 10 years. So this is what we are here to talk about and listen from some of our city superintendents from across the state. Today, I have guests from all of these cities: Golden Valley, Lakeville, Eden Prairie, Champlin, Minneapolis, New Hope, St. Louis Park, St. Paul College, and St. Cloud Technical and Community College. All of them work in the water utilities field and are going to really paint a very detailed picture of what it takes to work in it, how to get into it, how to get training, where to get scholarships for that training. And so as we talk, I will be putting links in the chat, and then I will follow up to everyone on this call in a follow-up email with all of these links as well. So first off, I'm pleased to welcome Joe Hanson, City of Golden Valley employee, superintendent of their water utilities department. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you, Liz, and good afternoon to everybody. So this presentation today is just going to basically touch on several opportunities that we have, the opportunities for you and people like you to serve our communities that we live in, and exactly the pathway on how to get there. We'll be talking about several different school opportunities, several different training opportunities. So with that being said, I'd like to welcome Jay Hall with the City of St. Louis Park to open up our presentation.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jay Hall, City of St. Louis Parks Public Works Director. I'm pleased to be here today to help present this presentation. The median age of water employees is 48 years old, and 30 to 50% of these workers will be eligible to retire within the next 5 to 10 years. This creates a lot of job openings and not enough trained and skilled applicants if we don't make any changes today. So we need to try to get more people interested, trained, and get into the career field. Let them know the opportunities there are in this career field. Next slide, please. This graph shows about half of the employees are 45 and older and shows the need to promote and find future water professionals. We tried to promote them through tech school. We need to get into high schools to show what we do for work. And we also hire seasonals. So a lot of our high school helpers or guys that are in college, they'll come in as a seasonal, and you got to look at it. You're being trained to learn a profession. Next slide, please. Why are we here today? Well, we are workforce constrained, lots of retirees. Older workforce, I think the pandemic created some water professionals to retire sooner than they had planned because they didn't want to take risk of getting sick. We lack diversity. We need to reach out and find ways to promote the water industry as a great, safe, and friendly career for both BIPOC and female applicants. The public doesn't have awareness of our industry. We need to reach out to high schools and get involved on setting up both a booth on career day and explain what the water industry is, share our benefits, retirement, all the benefits of being a city employee. We are great at water, but not so great at workforce strategies. This is why we are here today to find ways to reach out to find more diverse workforce and have future water professionals excited and trained in joining our profession. There are many different water teams trying to accomplish similar goals of improving workforce. And we all want to try to get more people involved, trained, and ready to fill in for all these retirements in the future. Next slide, please. Here's a great statement by Teresa Whitehorse. If you exclude 50% of the talent pool, it's no wonder you find yourself in a war for talent. I have been in the water profession for over 21 years and have worked for 2 different cities and have never seen a full-time female coworker and only one BIPOC coworker. We need to find a way to get BIPOC, females, youth, anyone interested and excited about working for Public Works. Next slide, please. These are the reasons why we need a diverse workforce. There's many more than just these itself. Creative and innovative thinking, cross-cultural understanding, increased productivity, improved creativity, increased profits, revenues, easier future recruitment from diverse communities, improved employee engagement, reduce employee turnover, improved company reputation, wider range of skills. I mean, the list goes on why we need all this. Thank you, I appreciate it, and I'll give it back to Joe.
Thank you, Jay. I will be touching here on our local needs. So in city and local government, there's approximately 350 jobs right now posted on the League of Minnesota Cities. That's mainly where we have been posting our jobs through as far back as I can remember. So currently there's 350 jobs that include everything in the public sector. Around 65 of those are full-time public works career openings, not just summer jobs, not just a job to get you by. These are full-time public works career openings. Many of these jobs start out $25 an hour, and by a few years could reach up to somewhere around $40 an hour. In addition to the full-time careers that are available, out of the metro area, there's roughly 110 communities that look for seasonal employees each summer. Each community looks to fill between 5 and 10 positions. So on a summer basis, we're looking to fill 550 to 1,100 openings each summer. These summer jobs often lead into full-time positions and give good on-the-job training for our seasonal employees. We'll be moving on to Matthew. Matthew, are you on the call? Doesn't sound like he is, so I'll be taking this one as well. So moving forward with the benefits of a public works career, we'll be talking about full-time. Next slide, please. So as I stated before, the pay range is roughly $25 starting to around $32. Some cities now are north of $42 an hour for lead workers or things like that. There are plenty of overtime opportunities for those full-time employees. There is usually a very good medical and dental package included with the full-time employment that goes both single coverage and family coverage, which are both available. We have usually a very good PTO, which is personal time off or vacation and sick. Usually about 11 holidays a year we get off, and usually starting out right around 2 weeks of vacation a year, going up to 3 to 4 weeks if you are in the field for quite a long time. Retirement savings account, PARA, which is your Public Employees Retirement Association, very good retirement. In addition to that, many cities now offer a 401k and health savings accounts, both offered to our full-time employees, and some additional accounts depending on the city or county or state that you work for. And then continuing education. We strive for making sure our employees have the most up-to-date education moving forward. That all that covered by the employee. On the job training, a lot of times we will, if you don't have one already, we will move forward with CDL training, helping people get their CDLs or just general knowledge on the job that you'll need to move forward with your career. And like I said, within each city, a lot of internal promotion happens. You go from a public service worker to possibly lead worker, field supervisor, or even superintendent. Next slide. And then there are also seasonal and internship positions offered through many cities around here. Like I said, roughly 550 to 1,100 jobs every summer. So like with the City of Golden Valley, if you are return seasonal, your second year back, we will do training and help you to get your CDL. That is nowadays a fairly big step. The state did recently just increase the criteria to obtain a CDL to 80 hours of classroom plus behind the wheel. So I know us as the City of Golden Valley and several others do that commitment and help people get their CDLs. As a seasonal, you do have schedule flexibility. Most of these positions that are available are Monday through Friday, usually between 7 and 4, depending on the position. Here in Golden Valley, we're actually 7 to 3. Some other cities are 7 to 3:30, but we do allow for people to take time off as needed for vacations, things like that. And then some of the communities around the metro area actually have an internship where they'll pay for you to work for the city for 32 hours a week, go to 8 hours of either the WHAT program for now, which is our metro area, with that internship. So not only are they paying you to become seasonal, but they are paying for your tuition at the WHAT program. And from here, do we have Rick or Carol or Steve?
Thanks, Joe.
Yep.
My name is Rick Walling. I'm manager of utility operations for the City of Eden Prairie. I'm responsible for the drinking water supply and treatment, the sewer collection, and the stormwater conveyance of our southwest suburban community of approximately 65,000 residents and just about as many people coming into our city on a daily basis to work here. I have the pleasure of daily working with approximately 35 dedicated and licensed professional utility operators who truly love their jobs, ensuring each day behind the scenes that public health is maintained so the public never has to worry about safety of their drinking water or be the least bit concerned about disease from human waste. Our careers are extremely rewarding and very applicable to helping our communities at the local level. And our wish is that more parents and career counselors knew more about public works jobs so that they could introduce their children and their young adults to these fascinating and meaningful professions. As one of the founding members of a new public works career education program, I'd like to take a few minutes and share a little background about the water utility and treatment technology course offered by the St. Paul Community College through their Department of Workforce Training and Continuing Education. St. Cloud and Technical Community College collaborated with Eden Prairie Utilities for more than 20 years and operated a satellite campus of the Water Environment Technologies course at the Eden Prairie Water Treatment Plant. This was a very unique, one-of-a-kind type program that nationally was not, at least known to us, available anywhere else in the country. The satellite program was unique in that it provided a training environment in which the students were able to learn their trade in a classroom, which consisted of a full-scale daily operating water treatment plant, a scenario in which their laboratory lessons were not classroom approximations of their real-world workings of their jobs, but rather a real-world application of their water and wastewater jobs in a true treatment facility. It was a very unique learning experience and produced graduates who mostly found their water and wastewater jobs after graduation in the metropolitan area. Unfortunately, the program struggled for several years to attract a sufficiently predictable number of students, and by 2017, the college had to close the Eden Prairie cohort due to low enrollment. Recognizing the gap that this left in the metropolitan area for qualified entry-level job candidates, of which between 7 and maybe 24 on any given year entered the workforce from Eden Prairie's location, a group of us got together, a group of us municipal and state utility leaders, and formed a committee and began a multi-year process of creating an alternative workforce development program to take its place. Next slide, please. This was a voluntary effort that took a lot of time to develop, and in the interest of time, the committee approached the mission from a place of wanting to field a viable training program in the quickest way possible. St. Paul College stepped up and offered a workforce development option, which enabled us to begin the WHAT program much quicker than if the course were to be fully certified as an accredited college program. Next slide, please. As a continuing education program, WHAT utilizes experienced leaders in the utility career to teach the nighttime modules of instruction and provides the necessary state-approved curriculum to certify graduates of the program in both the water and wastewater entry-level certifications that are required by many utilities to even apply for a public utility vacancy in many locations. The main difference between this program and the Water Environment Technology course still offered at St. Cloud Technical and Community College's main campus in St. Cloud, and described in a few minutes later today by Greg Kropp, our eminently qualified instructor for that program, is that the WHAT program from St. Paul College is designed to allow students enrolled in the course to still continue to maintain a full-time daytime job while pursuing the education in order to make a career change. At this point, I'd like to invite one of the WHAT program volunteer instructors, Steve Grossman from the city of Lakeville, to share some additional insight about what the program is, about the classes offered, and what the students attending the course will experience. Steve's an amazingly dedicated utility leader who makes several of these WHAT classes possible through his volunteer efforts. Steve?
Thank you, Rick. Hi, everyone. Steve here at the City of Lakeville, Utility Supervisor, and I'm also an instructor, as Rick said, at the WHAT program. I'll start off with just the WHAT mission statement to provide a pathway for a diverse metropolitan population of students to enter the water utility and treatment industry workforce in order to meet the growing staffing demands of the metropolitan communities. Next slide, please. So like Rick talked about a little bit, we do offer some different flexible scheduling where you're allowed to work a regular job and also do this program after hours. Typically right now we're doing like 5 o'clock p.m. till 9 o'clock in the afternoon or in the evening. And we talk about basic water distribution, water treatment, wastewater collection, and wastewater treatment topics. We do some online work and also on-campus opportunities. We have a very nice classroom and a really nice lab also that we can utilize. And right now we're doing nights twice a week, 5 weeks per module. So it goes by pretty quick. Within about a year, you can get through all 9 modules. Next slide, please. So the outcome of what is a pretty big deal. Students who successfully complete the program and pass the water D and wastewater D exam will become certified operators. So it would normally take a person a year of experience to be able to take these tests. They're state exams. When you're done with the program, you can take these tests and become a certified operator. The reason this is big is because there's not very many certified operators out looking for jobs right now. And as we've talked about so far in the presentation, pretty much every city in the metro area is looking for certified operators, and it puts you that much further ahead of the rest of the pack. So it's a really big deal. It's a really good opportunity to get your foot in the door at a city in the metro area or anywhere in the state for that matter. These cities, I can tell you right now, we're closing in on hiring a person in Lakeville, and we will have another one opening up in the spring. And I know, talking with other superintendents around the metro area, everyone is looking for people. So it's a really good way to get your foot in the door, like I said. Next slide, please. So we're really proud of a lot of the work that a lot of people in the metro area have done to put this program together in a short amount of time. During COVID, made it even more interesting. We've won a couple of awards already. The American Water Works Association Section Education Award in 2020, and also the Andrew Sullivan Outstanding Service Award in 2021. There's a number of people who've made this possible. You've seen a couple slides back, all the people who have put in a lot of time and effort. A lot of it is volunteer time to make this program happen. We've got an innovative curriculum. As an instructor myself, I try to look for the most up-to-date things to talk about, most relevant things, the best technology to keep students up to date with what they're going to be getting into when they start a job with a city or metropolitan council or something like that. We focus on underrepresented students, diverse background, ethnicity, and gender. We're in an area where we're accessible to a lot of different people. Right in central St. Paul, right by the cathedral. So it's a really good location. It's essential water and wastewater training and education. Like I said, we go over everything from where we get water from, how we get it to the treatment plant, and how we get it out to the end user, and then how we take wastewater and treat it and get it back out into the system again. This has all been designed by industry professionals. So we've had a lot of help from people who have been in the industry of teaching for 20 plus years who help put the program together. So we have all great topics and great information and tools and equipment to help teach all these topics. We're connected with all the communities in the area. Most of the people that are making this program possible are either supervisors or superintendents of water and wastewater facilities in the area. We also offer public transportation opportunities. So like I said, we're in a centralized area where it's easy for students to get to and from the college, right in the middle of the metro area. And last but not least, we have hands-on field trips to lift stations, water treatment facilities, wastewater plants, which is really beneficial to the students because you can actually see hands-on, not just in a textbook or in a PowerPoint. You're actually seeing hands-on how we're taking pumps apart, how the water treatment plant is laid out, and we look at all sorts of systems hands-on and get a better learning experience that way. Next slide, please. So we talked a little bit about careers in the industry that are offered, but great hourly wage to start out, high job placement, great benefits and paid time off, flexible hours, and good schedules. There's a lot of career growth opportunities. Like we've talked about so far, there's many people who are of the older age who are getting out of the business, and we need to backfill those positions. We also have good retirement plans with para and other options that individual cities can offer. And if you want to get more information on enrollment for the program, you can go to the St. Paul College website. And also at the end of the program, we'll have a link to help you get to those enrollment screen as well. That's all I had for my presentation. I'm going to go on to, go to Greg Kropp, who's a instructor at the Water Environment Technologies program at St. Cloud Technical College and Community College.
First, Steve, can you talk just a little bit about scholarships through AWWA?
Yeah, I think we're going to get to that next.
Yeah, Liz, Dave from Champlin and Dave from New Hope will be touching on this topic here real quick.
Okay, we'll come back to this slide then.
I think they'd be ready if you want to just take care of it now.
Sure. Oops, Dave, let's unmute you. Okay, Dave Lemke, try it again.
All righty, Dave Lemke, City of New Hope. I apologize. So you always got to have at least one "Are you there?" right? So yeah, we've already have commitments from two associations that are very well known in our industry, the AWWA and the SUSA organization here in Minnesota, that have committed funds to support people to attend these classes at the WUT program. And we're working on other opportunities also with other associations in the area and in the state to jump on our bandwagon here and to help students out. And just a side note too to these classes are really reasonably priced as far as anybody, if they're looking, to get these classes in under their belt for their job seeking purposes. They're extremely affordable, but we are there to help out. So there you go.
Thank you. Let's go on to St. Cloud St. Cloud Technical and Community College program description. And then I do see some of the questions coming in the chat. After that, then we'll have a Q&A session. We'll go back through all of those in the chat. So we have Greg Kropp here today from St. Cloud Technical and Community College.
Greetings, everybody. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Awesome. I was actually typing up a response to a question someone had in the chat, but yeah, probably a good idea to wait to the end here. Alrighty, so again, my name is Greg Kropp. I'm an instructor here at St. Cloud Tech and Community College. 30-second background on myself. I'm actually a graduate of the very program that I now teach. Worked in the field for 18 and a half years, I suppose 20 and a half if you count the period of time that I've had two jobs at the same time in this field. I like the fact that Joe Hansen referred to this as a career and not just a job. Most people that enter this career field don't leave it. They work till they retire. I know very few people that have actually not retired from this field, that have chosen to exit this career and move on to something else. So again, I guess, there's some website link on that page if you want to go to the next slide. So with the, I guess with my anticipated audience here, I kind of broke this down into two slides, one geared kind of towards some info, maybe more towards career force staff, and the second one for prospective students. So why WET is a good choice for, career force, for DEED, for anyone to reference this field to someone else. I got multiple reasons here. So first one, and in really no particular order, we are very vet friendly. In 2019, St. Cloud Tech College received a top 10 list of best for vets college list from Military Times Magazine. I do believe I've had at least one either active duty or veteran every single year that I've been teaching, and this is now year number 6 that I've been here. I've had 3 grads, 2 grads and 1 current student whose MOS, whose specialty actually is water treatment. So it ties in very closely with some of the actual training that some of our active duty military people get. Let's see here. And one of those vets is actually partnered up with a South Metro community who's basically willing to work with him for job placement after he graduates. So they've had a chance to have him intern over this past summer. And basically, if he graduates from our program, they're going to work with him to get him a full-time job. So he's basically already coming preloaded with a job in hand. We are very much a traditional school choice. So whereas what has kind of nights and evenings and works with those that maybe, the schedule of a full school load doesn't work, we are very much that way. However, we only have classes Monday through Thursday. So no classes Fridays, no classes evenings. So if your schedule is amenable to that, here we are. The WET program is WIOA certified. So WIOA, for those that maybe don't know, is the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. My understanding of WIOA, which is limited because I am not a career force or employment counselor, is that it's basically a rubric or a metric that makes sure a training program is amenable to potential payment. So potentially someone might be able to have career force or workforce pay for them to go to school, possibly. We are on that list of WIOA certified programs. There are literally jobs in this field in every town and city in Minnesota. If you have a public water supply, you have to have a licensed operator. If you have any sort of wastewater treatment process that services, more than a handful of people, so from Motley to Minneapolis, you have to have licensed operators. We're literally everywhere. Cities, towns, public utilities, tribal communities, industries, food processing, those all have places or are places where licensed operators are required. In fact, I challenge myself, I challenge maybe some of my other colleagues. Can anybody here think of a job that's literally required to be present in every city and town in Minnesota and really the United States? I can't. Sure, it's nice to have police in every town, but it's not required. We are required to be there. So when you're literally everywhere, every community, what's more diverse than that? I have had at least one or two female students every year. I have had at least one or two BIPOC students every year. But it has historically been a very white male dominated field, but we don't care. You're willing to work, do the work, welcome aboard. Graduates of this program, so we offer a 1-year diploma or a 2-year associate's degree, are eligible, as one of my predecessors mentioned, are eligible to take your Minnesota Class D water and wastewater license exams. We proctor them on site. So the two people from the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency and the Department of Health will travel up here. And one of the reasons why that is important is that there are studies that show students that take tests in familiar locations statistically do better than those that take them in unfamiliar locations. So if you have to travel to a different location to take an exam, those of us that have worked in the field, we've had to travel periodically to take different state exams. But the state will still come up here, proctor them for us. We are fully accredited through the Higher Learning Commission, which is basically the accrediting agency that credentials pretty much every college in the United States. So because we are accredited, we have financial aid available. The 1-year diploma and 2-year degree, you will get that certificate at the end of the school year. What else can I say? This last one, I literally just Friday got got the official wording finally nailed down from the state that there is this, seldom used caveat that allows people who have licenses, and there's a need to advance those licenses to higher levels, that you can substitute education for experience. The way the state rules are currently written is that it normally takes 3 years to go from that entry level D. So you can kind of think of a D as an apprentice level. It takes 3 years to go from a D up to a C. If a student of ours graduates with that 2-year associate's degree, they only have to work 1 year before they can take that next step up. It becomes a much quicker acceleration into this career field, something that has not been entirely consistent with the state applying those rules, but they have finally, both agencies have agreed, if you have that associate degree, 1 year. And just for a quick statistical numbers, there's a total of about 6,400 total licenses. So water license, wastewater license, and wastewater collection system licenses in Minnesota. Of those 6,400, there's only about 1,400 that are in those top two, that A and that B category. So a majority of the license holders in this career field are the C and the D, the lower half as far as the ranking. It goes A, B, C, D. And then once you get, if you want to look at just A's, there's only about 527 out of that 6,400. So about 8%, 7% of all the license holders actually have that top A license. So very much in demand. Next slide, please. All right. So why wet is a great choice for students? And really, this list could, could certainly be on either one of these two slides. So again, you can get your diploma in as little as 1 year, but with what, I've finally got nailed down from the state, it seems like that associate's degree would be a much better choice, because really you can get that 2-year degree in 1.5 years. You finish my program in 10 months. You take a couple of general eds, and that's the only difference between the diploma and the associates is the number of general eds. You take a couple of general eds second half of summer. You take one last full load fall semester. You're done in 1.5 years. So 1.5 years, really, I guess that's an extra 6 months worth of school can shave off 2 years off of your first license. License, or your, I guess technically second license, your C exam. We do offer scholarships through the college as well. Our students are eligible for those same AWWA, SUSA scholarships, Water Environment Federation, Minnesota Rural Water scholarships that are applicable to us, to WUT, and to Vermillion Community College up in Ely. But we also have internal scholarships that are offered. Internships are required as part of the school curriculum, so our students will work side by side with licensed operators throughout the state for assignments for their school, in order to graduate. If you remember me talking about, there's only 527 A's in Minnesota. If you were to actually tally it up to find out, who out there actually has an A water and an A wastewater, there's only 28 in the state. So 28 out of 6,400 licenses out there. And yours truly is one of those. So I definitely have the experience. That previous list of cities, public utilities, tribal, that's also all experience that I've had. I've worked for all of those entities. So I come from a very broad background before I got into teaching. We are a very well-established program. We've been around since at least 1974. I don't know the exact date we've started, but I actually have a 1974 yearbook sitting in my classroom, which is actually kind of humorous to take a look at, especially if you're curious to know what people dressed in 1974. We are centrally located in Minnesota. So, literally just about smack dab in the state, and we're really less than an hour from the northwest corner of the metro. Pretty much every single year, I've had several students. I'd say about a quarter of my class is coming from, North Metro or north of the metro, commuting up here every year. So we are not metro, but we are within shouting distance of a portion of the metro. And then again, jobs in every field. So from corner to corner, sea to shining sea, we have jobs. They may not exactly be in the spots you need at any given point. And really, that's the way it is with any career field. But I tell students, that your first job, whether it's wet, whether it's what, whether it's a doctor, nurse, a lawyer, your first job is going to be probably 2 things. Not exactly where you want to be, not exactly what you want to do, but it's going to be what you want to do. but you need to get that experience. So those that are willing to commute, those that are willing to move, will definitely prosper more than some others who may not be able to move. So you may, just the facts of life. So let's see here. Anything else I need to talk about on that slide? I don't think so. So, got any comments or questions? Feel free to write down my contact info. Give me a call, give me an email, give me a shout out. Here I am. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And I put the link in the chat, so it's there. Let's go back. I think it's back to Joe, right?
That is correct. So yeah, moving forward now, next steps for this, I'm going to be working with several of our local cities and local counties to get pretty much a mobile open house that's going to touch on probably the first ring cities. So cities just outside Minneapolis and St. Paul proper, to have open house / hiring fairs. Our hopes are going to be to fill the multiple seasonal positions that we have, show off what we do, let people know of any of the full-time positions that any of our neighboring cities have open at that time. We will be posting this on several of our cities' websites. Plus, we will be putting it on the Career Force job fair calendar, and I will be working with Liz and the rest of the people at Deed to make sure that we're getting this out to the people that really need to see it so we can attract more people to these. So with that, I'd like to say thank you. And did we want to go over some of these questions?
Yes, I'd like to, especially for the benefit of people who are watching this recording sometime in the future. They won't be able to see the chat. So the first question I think that was coming up a bit ago was, what about the over 50, over 55 career changer? Do they even have a hope of getting hired?
I guess I can start that off a little bit. So, in
Sure.
my 5 previous years of teaching, I have had 50 to 60. I think technically my oldest was a 79-year-old, but I don't think was actually looking for a job in the field. I think they were just, looking for something to do. But I have had as old as 62 come through the program that 100%, yes, they have found jobs in their field. In fact, this grad lives somewhere way up near Pine River, Minnesota, that, literally 10 minutes from his house, landed a job with one of those communities up there. So yes, there is definitely a need for it.
Great, thank you. Next question coming through was, how does the pay in the metro compared to greater Minnesota? Because the cost of living is so much higher in the metro. So what should a person expect, say, in Brainerd compared to Eden Prairie? And anyone can take it.
So I can touch on this, that yes, there is going to be a small discrepancy between your Suffolk County metro area where the cost of living is a bit higher, things like that. Greg, could you maybe talk about some of the outstate stuff? Would you know about that?
Yeah, actually, Liz used Brainerd as an example. I actually used to work for Brainerd. They're, so depending upon the community, some are definitely lower than the metro. Like if you go to Southwest Minnesota, there are some communities where you might be $19 to $21 an hour. But if you go down to like Fairmont, Minnesota, they're right in that 27 to 30 bucks an hour, 27 to 29 for a starting wage. Brainerd, Minnesota, I believe they start at almost 29 bucks an hour. City of St. Cloud, I think it's 25 to 26. I mean, even little Aiken, Minnesota, I think is pushing 28 to 30. But it varies. But yeah, you will definitely see generally higher wages in the metro because there is just simply a higher cost of living.
And it sounded like many of the positions are union. Is that true across the state for every city? Are they all union or are there exceptions?
Liz, typically the outstate communities are non-unionized. That's mostly a big metropolitan area push.
Okay.
And there are,
Okay.
like Brainerd is union.
Yep.
But
Rochester, I believe, is.
yeah, generally, if it's outstate, it will be the bigger towns generally that will have a much greater chance of being a union.
Okay. Thank you. So Joe, can you talk about the difference between the boiler license and the MDH water and the MPC wastewater licenses?
So yes, so there are several people within a city that are required to have boiler licenses if the city has boilers. Our Parks Department is our building maintenance here in Golden Valley. So that is one thing that we do need in a public works setting is somebody with a boiler's license, somebody that can check on those boilers. It's not necessarily related to our field and utilities. Our licenses are regulated by the Department of Health and the MPCA. We do get a water license and a sewer license, both regulated through the state. And grades vary from D to A as each step goes up. So with that being said, although it's not a requirement for our job, it is a fringe benefit. And we'll tie in the electrical question on this as well that I saw come through. Some of our communities, and the one that comes off of top of head is City of Elk River. So their utilities department also takes care of their electric. So they also have electricians, linemen, journeymen that work through their utilities department. So that is part of public works. But there are also needs for electricians in public works, mainly working on pumps and lift stations and people that actually have water treatment plants that will have larger panels and things like that. So there is quite a appeal to somebody with an electrical background getting into water and sewer as well.
Good. It's good to know that there's some transferability there. So my next question is, can someone or maybe two of you describe a typical day or a typical week in order to answer the questions about, are there nights involved or different third shifts? And what about knees, like bending, being on your knees, crawling? What's a typical day or a week like?
Well, if you'd let me start, I encourage anybody else to jump in on top of me. I guess if you look at, well, let's start with the knees. There are a lot of us who are over 50 right now, including those who are maintaining the system and working in the field. So if we can do it, you probably can too. I can tell you that most of us do have pre-employment physicals. So, and those are based on a battery of physical aptitude skills that a physician has determined are necessary to be successful in the job. So you'd have to pass that test in order to get the job in the first place. But I'm telling you, it's probably not going to be so strenuous that you're going to need to be an athlete to do it. As far as the typical workday goes, there's various different jobs, but let's start with field operations is what I call it, but it's taking care of the water distribution and sewer collection system, which is probably one of the most common jobs in utilities, both in the metropolitan and in the outstate areas. And that job is basically working from approximately 7 a.m. until, in our case, 3 p.m. But like Joe had mentioned, it varies by community. But almost all of our guys get off from work early on in the day, which is really nice for work-life balance with other things that you want to do with your careers. I don't know of a single utility who has a distribution or collection operator who works beyond 4 p.m. Now, those are the guys that work together on teams that take care of our water and sewer systems. If you happen to be a shift worker, such as a water treatment plant operator, those systems go 24/7 in many cases, and each community has a different way of managing that. At Eden Prairie, we have 12-hour shifts, and our guys work 4 days on and then they get 4 days off. But in other communities, people are working 8-hour shifts, and they'll work 8 hours, and then they'll have, a number of days that they're on shift. Then they'll have like 3 days off, and then they come back to 8 hours on the next shift, and it rotates. So that, if you imagine 24 hours a day, you've got 3 8-hour periods that have to be covered. So it all depends on the community, and those are very critical to be done on a shift reliability basis. So if you're expected to work from, say 6 p.m. until 2 a.m., then you better be there. What else? Did I answer those questions? Is there anything else that are part of that?
There's, Rick, it was something to, I guess, to add on to. There's so many different jobs that can be had within this field that, some of that can have definitely an effect on, how physically demanding the job is. Like if you work in outstate Minnesota for a small town, you're doing the water and the wastewater, you're plowing the snow, you're mowing the grass at the parks. Heck, you might even be the dog catcher. You get to a mid-size to larger size town, like where Rick is at, you've got a crew that works specifically water plant. You got a separate crew that is strictly distribution or collection. And then if you get really large, like Minneapolis or the Met Council facilities, your job might be, one building. You're working the filter wing at the plant, or you're working the dewatering wing at the plant. There's lab tech positions. If you have an affinity towards laboratory, if you have a background that is amenable to that attention to detail that's needed for laboratory tests, your physically demanding requirements are probably going to be less than if you're that powerhouse that's working, distribution and collection, fixing water mains, when they break, which to me has always been, the least favorite job I've ever had to do. And I've got friends that is what they do, and the laboratory where I spent quite a bit of my career was the least desirable job they would ever want. And I'm thinking, laboratory is indoor and it's nice and climate controlled. I got the job. I got the good job. And they're like, no, you got the worst job. So different strokes for different folks. Instrumentation, you can now control most facilities, heck, from your smartphone. So the amount of technology that's involved in this. So if you've got like a background in IT, if you've, can lead you to all the instrumentation. I'm sure, Rick, your plant is probably absolutely loaded with meters, gauges, sensors, probes, all the computers that tie all these things together, the computers that allow all those, well houses and sewer pump stations to connect. Definitely needs just as many staff as, the guys that are doing the jetting and rotting. Might potentially also have different physical demands for those jobs as well.
Yep.
Good, thank you. We've got time for maybe 2 more questions. So if a person has not gone through the what or the wet program yet, is there any hope of getting a job first in one of your departments and then starting the program? What do you do what does a person do if they have never worked, but they're in that field, but they're interested? How should they proceed?
So most folks that I've worked with for many years all started out as seasonals. So a seasonal position is a good way to get in the field, to kind of get your feet wet, kind of understand the ins and outs, and if this is going to be for you or not. You're basically going to be an assistant to full-time staff at that point. You'll be working side by side with those full-time employees, and you'll get a real feel for what every day is like, what to expect from that job. You're always welcome to apply for these full-time jobs, but somebody that has the experience, somebody that's been to the school, somebody that shows that they have the aptitude and have been around the field, doesn't necessarily have to be the water and wastewater field. It could be working for a private. It could be working for a Michaels Underground or a Valley Rich Underground. There's all sorts of job skills that we look at when we look in this field. And right now, having a CDL is a big thing now for communities to hire, since it does take so long to get people without a CDL through those programs. So
Right.
those I think are the best steps to take right off the bat.
Good, thank you. And my very last question that came to me via someone else, they asked, what about licensure reciprocity? So if they start working, they work in Minnesota for 5 years, and then they move to another state in the United States, are they able to transfer their licensure?
The short answer is yes, Liz. There's a host of states that have direct reciprocity. However, there's other states who may not be as direct, but you might transfer to the next lower level of licensure. Each state is different, but most of our surrounding states around Minnesota offer direct reciprocity, if I'm not mistaken. Does anybody know otherwise? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but basically, yeah, there are some states that do, some states that don't, some states that offer it case by case. Not only do they want to know your license, but what did you do with that license? You know, I've got a
Sure.
grad that he did a year and a half in Minnesota, then transferred to Colorado. They only offer reciprocity for a Minnesota A or B. He had a D, so he's got to start over.
Sure. Okay. Well, thank you, all of you. I know there are a couple of more questions coming in, but we've run out of time. I think Joe Hansen, all of you who spoke today about all of your cities, all of the information. Joe, anything else you want to add at the end here?
No, just thank you everybody for attending. If they do have any questions, they can either contact one of the schools, or Liz, if you'd like to put my email information out as well. They can always feel free to email me, and I can direct them the best I can to get their questions answered if I don't know them myself, or get them directed to a person that could help them out.
Great, thank you. So everyone on the call, I'm Liz Jennings. You can always email me as well, liz.jennings@state.mn.us. You can contact our Career Force Information and Assistance line, and they can help direct your call. And that's it for today. So glad to have all of you, and many thanks to all of our speakers and everyone else who did all of this work behind the scenes. So take care.
Thank you for hosting us, Liz.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yes, thank you.